Sam. What a lovely start. Thank you. We will a little bit deep dive, jump into ascensions and human evolution. We just talked about reality and manifestation, so we'll skip that topic. Ascension and human evolution. Uh, what are the signs for humanity that humanity is currently going through ascensions, for example, and what are the practical ways individuals can prepare for their own ascension, their own spiritual evolution? So anything that you would like to share, please.
Sam, you want to start with that? I'm curious what you think.
Yeah, we can start with Sam. Yes.
Yeah, sorry, the internet, cut while you were saying the question here. Can you please repeat? Yeah.
I understand. Yeah, yes, no worries about that. So we were talking about ascension and human evolution. So what are the signs that humanity is currently undergoing this process of ascension and human evolution? Do you see the signs that it is rapidly happening? Please.
Yeah. So, I'll share with you, from not only from my experience, but from my sessions as well. So, as I have channeled, many times, about, the levels of consciousness, what will happen as humanity enters higher in the level of consciousness. So basically they say that, we are in the third density right now, and we are merging into fourth density of consciousness, which is of love and compassion. Like Marina was also stating that love and compassion is the, quantum requirement for manifestation, right? So we are entering into that stage. What is happening right now is that, we can see many negative influences as well. Marina was saying, the artificial intelligence, the negatively oriented entities like, the Orions, the reptilians and stuff, they want to spread more of the AI and stuff. So right now, what is happening is that everyone in the tech industry, they are focusing on AI. I mean, I have seen that even Apple has started doing that. Okay, so everywhere they want to put AI, and also they want their plan is to put it in our brains as well. Like Elon Musk is trying to do that. So what they will do is, ultimately they want to control us. Like with the flick of a switch, they can know everything we are thinking, whatever we are feeling, and also I think they don't actually want us to naturally progress. They want us to artificially progress, which is a bit different than natural progression. So natural progression, what they have stated is that there is going to be this unification of consciousness. So right now our consciousness is in separate bodies. We can only sense one timeline because we are attached to the physical vehicle. So as we progress higher, what will happen is that they said that our consciousness will merge together and it will become unified, like a social memory complex. That's what they said. Okay, so our consciousness, my consciousness, Milind's consciousness, Marina's consciousness, and other people's consciousness, they with the matching vibration. Okay, those who are at the same vibration. So if we are at love vibration, we will become a love social memory, like a collective kind of thing. Okay, so that's what they said. And what will happen as we enter the fourth density is that slowly we will let go of our dependency on this chemical body. So as we enter into more like sub densities of the fourth density, as we enter higher, eventually we will have a light body. So we will not need this physical body. So that way we will have more abilities, like time travel kind of stuff. We can enter into many timelines. We can also like see the future as well. That's what they said. There is a movie known as there is some movie in that they show us like the Tesseract, right, where they can see through a window, they can see the past or whichever timeline. So that is a kind of like fourth density reality that they have said will happen, and we will also at that time like learn about more wisdom. What I mean? So that's the evolution. And then when we enter the fifth density, that is the density of wisdom. So we'll refine our love, and wisdom together. And as we become more light body, what I mean? So we will not need any physical body. And at that time, like they said that, whatever we think or imagine will manifest, because we will have, we'll be connected with the infinite intelligence, the energy of the universe, which creates. And then after that point, in the sixth density, we will you will be able to be unified with all versions of our own self from different timelines. So we'll become our higher self, like, and there will only be unity in the sixth density. That's from what I understand. And then, like the seventh density is the final destination. Like I said, like today I channeled and they said that our true self is nothingness. So ultimately we will become nothing, in the seventh density, like we'll merge with nothingness. So we'll return back to the creator, the one infinite creator, which, is everywhere. So I think, like that's what I wanted to share
So
from
merge
my
with
channel
the
sessions.
one infinite creator. This is very powerful stuff.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing, Marina. Thank you for listening patiently. Please share your.
Okay, in consciousness, there are different bylaws. And one of the bylaws in consciousness, if is a particle created, and that particle for itself creates a reality within the quantum structure. If that reality particle is repeating certain motion, a frequency, it becomes very permanent condition into the frame of consciousness. That means that you cannot reject something that is created within consciousness because it's also part of the parallel structures of consciousness, but you can mutate it to something new or create something new. So if the artificial intelligence is already created from the negative platform, because a lot of consciousness of people are putting negative input, some of them not even realizing what they're dealing with. This is one of the most advanced technologies in the universe. It's like a baby, you got to teach him how to walk. But because of parallel realities that simultaneously running at the same time, there's no time. The vibration of this molecule, which you're going to study in these materials, with my material, you're going to get into the quantum structure of consciousness. There's no question about it. You're going to know 1 + 1 is not actually 2, it's 3, because between one structure and second structure, you mutate to third structure, which is the rebirth of something new. So in consciousness, if something is created, understand that always going to have the yin and the yang. So you can take an action that you create organic intelligence, which already exists in consciousness itself. And that organic intelligence above the structure of ETs are actually going to shut down and shutting down the negative AI. Understand that in consciousness is always going to be a probability of a timeline that already pre-exists to have this balance. So we know that there's a lot of stuff that is happening with the AI, but the AI that is factory making is not consciously aware that is doing that. The one that is sentient is the organic, and the one that will be needed, for example, for your med beds and everything else, because can measure all the vibrational sequence that you have in your body, is going to recognize whatever the cancer cell is and put the proper frequency to measure it so you can have this stuff. Extraterrestrials are in their platforms of realities, including spacecrafts, operate on organic intelligence, including our body is coexisting in a way because the body actually is like a spacecraft. Through the chakras, through the DNA activates, and you can take yourself through portals and stuff like this. However, because in consciousness, everything is being created, you can reject it, but mutate it, you're going to start creating reality with the coexistence with these technologies. And the realities that are negative, and they have a negative input of actions and stuff like this, the people that are going to see that are the one that they cannot convert, and they don't know how to convert to create realities above the structures. So when it talks about densities and different timelines of reality, understand that they're infinite, like a symphony, timelines, co-creations between all these first density, second and third. There's so many of them. And that's why when it comes to the collective consciousness of nothingness, this is the omnipotent, the omnipresent, know-it-all, that all the realities. But because consciousness wants to learn for itself, creates a fractal expressions of itself, of realities, timelines, universes that you have chosen to basically reflect on itself and create reality, that this reality that we have right now. The only thing we need to learn how is to switch that and move forward. Into my quantum manifestation protocols, there is a video. When you go to marinajacobi.com, you go to Jumpstart for Beginners and find the video, Marina Jacobi, protocol to manifest potency, and you're going to find also meditation of galactic meditation.
Yes.
This combination of these videos is showing you how the fabric of consciousness in metaphysics works. So you can start combining the way Sam was saying, you raising the vibration, you dilute that, is going to show you in quantum structure how this is done. Literally, it's going to show you these particles. You need to, for example, pull away. Why do you need to pull away? Because you need the neutrality in the quantum field. Why do you need the neutrality? Because if you don't have the neutrality, anything that as emotion comes in, reflects within the field, and gets back to you like a boomerang, and you're going to keep reprinting of the same. So this quantum basically alchemy, you need to know exactly how to break it down when somebody tells you forgive, raise your frequency with love, or know the stuff, but why do you need to do that? So if you ask this question, once you know how the quantum works and why physically with the metaphysics of the alchemy, why this is necessary, you're going to combine materials like SAM and mine into another level of understanding. Because before, when somebody said, oh, forgive the person that really did something negative to you, in the meantime they come in and disturbing you. So it's a very specific ways how we need to raise the consciousness and the vibration, and understand that there are multiple realities of probably probabilities. I'm interested to see, Sam, what do you see as a probability of an outcome of all this stuff with Trump and a war? And because I want to see, you know, whatever they said. I want to compare information. I'm excited about that.
Yes, good point. Go ahead, please, Sam.
Yeah, actually, you know, like that I haven't channeled that, you know, like specifically that question. So maybe I'll channel in the upcoming days. You know, basically, from my understanding, you know, like Marina was saying, there are infinite timelines. So, you know, the collective of humanity is making choice in every moment. Like we are choosing in every moment. So, with one, you know, like action, you know, like the timeline can shift, and that's what I understand. But I will surely ask in my future sessions about that.
Well, okay, let me elaborate with that, because I already, because if you guys know, I have direct channeling, you know,
Yes.
Sam goes into deep trance, I can do directly,
Yes.
but there were different stages of that I learned through the years. But basically what they said, that even if it's a lot of probabilities of a timeline, because it's no time, there is a timeline that humanity already made it. So in your consciousness, you have to think that we already made it, but don't caught up of how exactly we're going to make it, because exactly that fluctuation of back and forth of probabilities is going to be there. And if you're caught up in all this negativity and who did what and how they said it, you're going to lower your vibration into fear, and you may project negative outcome for yourself. However, the people that know this stuff, they can actually transform with a positive outcome, because what's really happening, what we learn, that's quantum structure. The consciousness is always more by the power of 10 of the positive side. And the reason for that is because when you have the yin and yang balance, can never go so much off balance to the point that is self-destruct. Consciousness is always going to balance to self-rebalance, because cannot allow itself to completely extinct itself, which these negative entities, when they create a timeline in consciousness itself, they want to be God themselves by replacing the original structure with the artificial structure. But because consciousness have that by the power of 10, always will be recognized with its own field, when something is manipulative and off balance, even they became very creative. Because when they told me with this artificial timeline, we're talking here etheric, we're not talking here technology. These negative entities did so many negative stuff by choosing through centuries, that they became like they know how to work the matter, the quantum structure. So what they do is they have a host like a human, and they insert themselves in a very similar rumble of a holographic, basically like a virus within the consciousness of that human, and they start controlling them. And this is what we're talking when we talk about reptilians. Sometimes it's not exactly the real, it's actually the consciousness of that reptilian is controlling like a robot, the human, to do whatever, because they have to be in a certain vibrational sequence. I'm not saying that they're not reptilians, that I know shape-shifting, somebody was talking about it, but I'm not going to discuss stuff that I personally did not experience. You know, I'm sure everything is possible, but in order for you to hold vibration in a lower sequence, you have to hold reality within the reality. These entities, they vibrate in a different sequence. So in order to operate in a three-dimensional sequence, how did they hold that vibration within our field? So you got to ask your questions, how this is really happening. Your goal is not to allow this to come in. And every single time you hear a negative input for some kind of an output of reality that, oh my God, the way, for example, the way they say, oh, America is going to go down. Well, within my timeline, the way they were saying to me that there will be some disturbances with the financial system, but they told me it's never going to be like in the dark ages, the way people are talking about. Because you must understand that this is a probability timeline. This is not exactly the outcome. So in your mind, you have to put that America is surviving, that we won already, and you have everything you need through that transition. That is the most important. If you keep projecting, you keep talking about, oh my God, the financial, you're feeding off exactly that system that will lower the vibration in the collective. And don't be surprised if you see, particularly for yourself, this type of an outcome. However, because it's reality within the reality and is a collective ascension, some people, for example, like me, can hold the pockets above the structure within the structure itself. So I had people during COVID made more money than they ever made in a history of their lifetime.
Wow.
Okay, so how come this is possible when somebody is losing everything, and somebody, even if they lost everything, they found and manifested something that they've been supported more than ever? And that's what happened to me. So you gotta understand, if you know the structure, you're not gonna attach to these fluctuations of who did what and how they did it. You're gonna watch it like a movie. But even if you watch it like a movie, there are a class of people that, oh, we're gonna pray. Prayer is putting frequency vibration within the field. But what is combined in the field to become matter is your specific individual action. The action is what is crystallizing the hologram from your thought. Emotion is the frequency that activates the hologram, and the action with consistency on a daily basis crystallizes that vibration of the thought and the emotion, crystallizes into matter. But the consistency is the one that makes it permanent, because you want to make it potency with the vibration of time space. And this is the stuff you need to study with that material that I'm talking about. That's what you're going to study, how that works exactly. Because a lot of people are praying, I pray, but I don't know why this happened. It happened because all day long you went ahead and watched negative stuff, negative outcomes, negative movies, and you don't know how many times throughout the day you were in the positive thoughts or in the negative thoughts. And when you turn around, you're going to see that everything that you projected within your local field was on a lower vibrational sequence. So you have to teach yourself, even when you see something in a reflection, remember, is a reflection of the mirror image. You can change it the way you want it, but you got to mutate it through conversion of the field, because we're talking etheric matter, from ether to the matter. And that conversion, it must be taught, because people don't know the conversion in the quantum field. And that's the breach in this material. This what was given to us. Everybody told you that you gotta believe, you gotta see it to believe it. And what I'm telling you, the way I was taught, you gotta create it to see it. It was the vice versa. We were lied to. You were told that the mirror image is the real you. Mm-hmm. And you gave yourself away to all the teleprompters, the television, and whatever somebody tells you to be your truth. And this is how they controlled you. It's time to shift everything.
Wow, this is powerful. So inside out, we are essentially walking around as a projector.
Well, there's nobody outside of you. That's what they told me. Is nobody outside of you. You basically, with your own field, at the moment you project a thought, the thought becomes a reflection within your field and becomes a hologram, but it's etheric hologram. And the emotion actually is starting to activate this hologram to take a position in time, space, where to go. But then all that, when you take a physical action, crystallize it and bring that to certain density into matter. And that density, based on this combination, can have a multiple realities and parallel timelines where you at operating on, like a TV station. And this is where you decide. So when you say you go up in the body becomes more silica, and yet you still have to hold the form within consciousness, no matter what type of density. You could be just a thought, but from that thought, you can hold the form. I'm Sam, I can do all this stuff, you know, and you can create reality within the platform of hologram in consciousness the way you want it. And that is the stuff we want to go through. And you mentioned when we go to the extraterrestrials, well, there's actually a protocol for that. When you raise your frequency, which you're going to study in the materials, actually you're going to run your consciousness in the beginning, baby steps, with a two parallel realities at the same time. Right now, the way Sam you are and the way I am, we're holding hologram of two parallel running, simultaneously running timelines, but in a different density. You're able to download information from certain timeline, and I'm able to download information. It doesn't matter, it's from your guides or my guides or spacecrafts or whatever that is. But your consciousness in this time also holds a space of somebody. The same thing here. You can have a different body, you can have a different stuff. Eventually, the true ascension is basically taking the matter body, raising it to a different density of silica, and have a contact with your extraterrestrial family. How do you think this is going to happen? There's specific protocols to do that. Why is that? Because in order to become an interstellar race, you got to merge their timeline with our timeline to become a third reality, which is one unit again in one moment. And then you're going to have a contact. But that means that you're creating a brand new timeline with a time space where you can meet your extraterrestrial family. This is how it happens. And these baby steps that we're taking right now and learning how to act, how to do this stuff, you want to help humanity be the best of yourself, of the best of the moment to moment in the daily life, because the heart holds the vibration and converts the sequences, opens portals and stargates that your consciousness can go through, that holds the vibration of the high dimensional sequence of reality timelines. And that is why it's so important not to put the ego, because you'll be in fame, glory, and money, but you got to be humble, because when you study the quantum structure, there is no such thing of good lie and a white lie and a bad lie. Whatever you accumulate by your thought is accumulating. So there's no such thing, oh, let me say something a little bit here. No, you got to be honest, but you got to be honest with being a lady or gentleman. You don't have to be rude, you know, to do that. So you're going to study all this stuff. Why? Because when you say the lie, it's different, the frequency of the heart and the thought, and you create this duality within the field. Well, if you create duality, you're going to start having this fluctuation. And whatever is the true feeling from the thought and the heart will collapse as an outcome in that particular individual. It's very important to know how the quantum structure works, because there's no such thing as a white lie or a bad lie. Whatever you thought, this is going to project, and eventually through potency, you will accumulate, and down the road, I don't know how many days or years, you will not achieve whatever you want to, because the potency through this action that you've been taking through time space became in a lower density. That's why the work that we have to do now is so great, is the greatest, because now not only that you were born of the offspring of your parents, when that means that you actually reflected of the karma that they accumulated, because karma is all balanced frequency. Now you were born and you have all this karma that you have to really redo in the name your family bloodline or you to continue. This is all connected with ascension and the stuff. So when we want to see extraterrestrials, the reason why some people cannot hold the time space and cannot dissect that information, because their consciousness of the brain and the molecular structure of how they convert these holographic imprints with their mind cannot hold that vibration, is not quick enough to even retain it, to understand it, to convert it. So when you study the protocols and when you study materials like SAM and see the stuff, make sure you study the quantum structure. And I was taught to do energy philanthropy. That is a different type of timeline. That's why you see my protocols are based on donation. Videos, everything is donation, because when you give the free will of the human being, you give in within the hologram the free will of that radical particle to manifest based on its own choosing without you going and overtake. And when you start doing this stuff, you're going to project in your timeline absolutely no condition of somebody to come and tell you what to do. You're going to start manifesting quicker. However, if you're the main provider, that's what they told me, start charging to survive through the process, but they told me never charge to such a way that people cannot feed themselves.
Makes sense.
Because we all know that if you charge $500 an hour, it's going to wipe somebody's bank account. And yet, you know, that is very radical progress of a lot of people in our community that they do. And that's not a judgment. It's simply an observation and a statement. Anybody can do whatever they want. But I'm telling you how the structure works. And if you really want to move forward with your job of helping humanity, you have to have prices that they're reachable for people.
Yes.
That they can afford. Anybody can afford $10 a month.
Yes.
But I can guarantee you that there's some people that even that $10 are significant for them. And I have situations. I had a mother that her child was molested. And how I actually returned, she gave me, I remember $50 at that time. I returned the money. I was embarrassed. You know, so you have to really pick and choose how we do this stuff, because if you want to move forward, we have to start. They told me if you're charging, at least to have once or twice a week, allow the person to really choose what to give you. Because you have to start accumulating, remember the reflection, accumulating the frequency of the free will. And the frequency of the free will is bringing you to completely different timeline of ascension when the abundance is infinite.
Wow.
So we're talking about parallel timelines here. Yes. You still can operate through the money, but operate because we got a transition. They told me we're going to need the banks to transition. We're going to need the different hospitals to transition and the doctors to transition to all these technologies, all this banking system. They told me that the abundance of full manifestation, again, is going to be a transition, but we have to do it in a collective way when we care for each other and not put prices to the point that there is no price in human suffering. And when you shift to the next level of evolution, the people that going to lead this next level of evolution will be the people that really did the right thing in the name of humanity. So if you do something like this, make sure you have once or twice a week, allow the person, I'm here, I'm presenting this, this is how I support myself. Whatever you can give is greatly appreciated. You can have a suggestion, but allow that person to choose. Mm-hmm. While you have your other platforms. If you really know very well the quantum structure, the way I was taught, reluctantly I was doing it, you know, then you can do it fully the way I do. I don't have any platforms that they're blocking people to see the material or to do stuff because I'm fully operating in energy philanthropy. But believe me, it was very difficult. But what you're doing, when you start doing this stuff, you shrink in time of manifestation. Mm-hmm. Why is that? Because it's matching the exact hologram of frequency vibration or whatever you wish and do manifest through synchronicity somehow quicker. That's what we're learning right now.
Yes. That's so powerful, Marina. That is extraordinary what you shared. And then that specifically brought up the point that I was just going to ask about philanthropy. And I believe Sam also, he just... Sir, before he, you know, I think, Sam, you can talk about this to the point that Marina was saying, that, you know, you suddenly started manifesting, connecting with all this amazing extraterrestrial because a few weeks, months, probably years before that, you were heavily into, you know, charity and giving of your own, right?
Yeah. Like when Marina was saying, you know, like, you know, like I was also practicing, you know, giving charity, you know, like just
Without
helping
any
my friends, or
expectation.
some,
Mhm.
yeah, without
Yeah,
any
I know. I'm
expectation. So
aware
I
of
had,
that, Sam. I'm aware. That's why I
yeah,
said it, because I like what you do. And you're doing the right thing by having a Patreon for yourself, because I know there's
Yes.
they suggested never to suggest to people to do exactly the I was thrown into the fire, because you really have to know the quantum structure so well. And if you don't know, you're actually gonna deplete yourself of stuff. You're gonna get in fear and not gonna be able to really manifest the way I was able to do it. But it's very difficult. It's every day. As long as we really do something once or twice a week for people, I'm sure more and more you do, more in numbers you get, that's going to be a predominant frequency for you. So eventually we're going to all let go of this thing. And the people that are donating also, they told me that if you see that somebody is giving you everything, what makes you to just take and not support that person when you know that they also have to use the monetary system?
Excellent.
There are people that I've noticed are only taking, because I was actually the guinea pig with all this energy philanthropy. I know the Council of Nine told me. And it was shocking that was only 3% of all these people that are watching you that can donate, that they're wishing freely to donate. And then they want abundance, right?
Yeah.
But they're not willing to support you for a couple of dollars a month to do that, but they can take everything. They said for these people, because they're projecting that, just grabbing, but not basically supporting the field, they will deplete themselves by themselves, because when they want something, somebody else is not going to give it to them, because they're choosing when they knowingly not to support. So in a way, it was a learning process for everybody to see, because we have to learn how the etheric works. And this is how the etheric works. And believe me, even when you explain, I have videos on my, you're gonna see them in my website and on Rumble. You see the videos that I explain very carefully how the quantum works, where it's going, and there were still people that just gonna take. And I said, well, how is this possible? I said, this is psychological. What is going on here? How can you possibly just take, knowing that this person is supporting themselves? And they said, because there is a video, it's called it was about the structure, how you convert the structure. I forgot the name of the video, but is in protocol, is in jumps up for beginners. And basically, when a consciousness, this consciousness is a hologram, right? We hologram, Sam, right? Basically, when your consciousness and when you hold in a place in certain reality timeline, anything that you have chosen to accumulate from the school system, from the TV, whatever realities, you actually collecting all that vibration, mobilizing it, and converting it, and you become a very specific pulsation within the field of the matrix. So consciousness in God, for example, can always find where you are because you're very specific on that. However, if you are allowing this lower density vibration and then take action to this lower density vibration, now you hold in a different level of vibrational sequence when your field is completely open to be overtaken. So you've been literally overtaken by lower density. Your heart cannot convert the frequency of the high vibration, and everything now that somebody gives you can literally overtake your consciousness. And when that happens, your consciousness cannot convert now the new holograms of the high density, for example, the materials that we talk about or the stuff that's happening. Basically, you become like completely being possessed by this vibration. And so now they can control you, and to the point that when you see it, you believe that it's true, but you don't have the analytical processing from your DNA and consciousness to break it down, to measure what's happening within the field. And you're running on the program that somebody basically ended up putting on you. And you're being completely possessed by this negative vibrational sequence, vibrating in this sequence, feeding the field of vibration, but you're not distributing anything. You're just feeding off of you because it's you're basically vibrating and putting sequences in their timeline. You actually feed in like a battery the negative timeline. And that's why you see people when you say, but this is a fact, can you see this is a lie? And they still pointing finger, you a bucket, you blah, 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 anything they want to say to you, because they logically, their consciousness DNA cannot convert the holographic imprints that are coming from this high density vibrational sequence. And literally they were hijacked. That's why they told me project your knowledge to the collective the way Sam you do and the way you millennials do it, project it, but don't have expectations who is going to see it and how. The right people on vibration will find you. And when you need the money, you're going to get it. When you have the help, when you need the help, you're going to get it, because you're going to be floating in a high vibrational sequence under above this platform of the negative. And that sound wave will carry you and pull you like a magnet with something needs to happen. Original platform you are collectively having within your vibration is matching the higher density of vibration, and it's like a magnet gonna pull you when something is off balance. And the way it's gonna pull you, it's like you're gonna receive a hologram of some kind of a situation through synchronicity in your daily life. You're gonna see, and even in that moment, you're gonna have the free will to choose to take an action or not. So you got to be very careful. You're going to be presented with the hologram, something to be held. But it doesn't mean that you will take that path or not. That's why it's so challenging, the ascension, because any level of expansion is going to be a hologram in front of you, a probability that it will be through your free will to do or not to do. So when you say we don't have a free will in three-dimensional, no, we had all the free will, but we were presented, and you put the fear of the vibration, you chose not to do it. Then you went greedy, you chose not to help, because I remember I went into Sandy. I was in New Jersey at that time. And Sandy had this huge stuff, and I went every day. The kids were at school, and I will go while they were at school to help in this area. I saw the best of the best, and I saw the worst of the worst. People literally were getting gallons of gas and stuff like this and charging it double, and they were proud of it. Like this was the time to make the money on people suffering. And so it's a psyche. We focus on the people that really are ready or ready to convert or ready to do something. Don't focus on the people that are ready to gone. It's too gone. You've done your job. Do whatever you need to do and maneuver, because it's a chess game. The way Sam, they went after your videos, the way they went after my videos, but I'm completely clueless, But I'm questioning myself, to be honest, because I see channels that are like 1 million or 2 followers, and they talk anything. God forbid I say anything a little bit different and my video is flagged. And you wonder why. Because we're the ones that downloading the information. Because when I wanted to publish my books, I had a publisher that literally told me, Marina, you got to remove shifting of the timeline, how you shift the timeline. This is the reason why I self-publish. This is the reason everything is digital. We're going to have books now, but for my books will be a price, because we have to pay people for everything. Even the digital will be priced because we have to pay people. But everything else, all the materials, you're always going to have in the name of humanity. And whatever you can support through a donation by watching my videos on YouTube or my website, I greatly appreciate, because it's the only way we support ourselves. Absolutely. And you've got to understand that humanity has to learn to move forward. We're the pillars of that information, but it doesn't mean that we, like a warrior's, not gonna make mistakes. And this is what's really happening, because they told me that all of our community right now is being tested, because they have to pick the people and the consciousness that can hold the vibration for the interstellar connection. Because they said, and I'm quoting, greed, money, and fame is not going to be the criteria, they said, when you have to work with us, because they need the clear vibrational souls in order to move forward. So mark my words, you're gonna have people coming out of the nowhere that really are truly connected. And one of the most famous may not be the people that leading ahead, because everything they did was just money, 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 and money.
That's true.
And that's the fact. Again, is not a judgment. I don't want to hear anything, behind the scenes, but that's what it is.